Welcome to Toy Business Unboxed, your gateway to the secrets of the toy industry. Here, Jason Shea, a toy entrepreneur and expert in the field.
Every product we develop is really inspired by some of the real life experience that we have with our son.
60% of all toys last year were sold on Amazon, which is incredible.
Okay, be passionate about it because it's a road, it's a journey.
Like when you have an idea that you think is like gonna somewhat change the world, make things better, I'd say go for it.
We'll guide you through the enchanting world of toy design, marketing, and manufacturing. Now let the unboxing begin.
Good. Another one. That's another one.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of Toy Business Unboxed. Today we're joined by Dr. Grace, a brilliant mind behind Race to Infinity, a game that help thousands of children conquer math anxiety and really build confidence. And her journey has been both personal and very powerful. And today we'll dive in on how is she taking her award-winning board game and transform it into digital experiences using AR and different technology as well. Thank you so much for being on our podcast today, Grace.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, so first of all, can you kind of share with our audience a little bit about your background, like what were you doing before you launched your own products, and just kind of sharing your overall kind of journey within the industry?
Okay. Well, thanks for asking and thanks for having me on the podcast. So my background is computing. I studied a bachelor's in computing and computer programming. So I did a lot of Java and things like that, software programming. Worked in investment banks for many years, and also my master's was in financial markets with information systems. And as I said, I'm an ex-investment banker, programmer. So a geek, basically. But I don't look like one, hopefully.
I see. Okay. And what lead you to the idea of creating the game that you currently have?
Yeah, great question. You said, my story goes way back. So when I was 10 years old, my dad supported me and he made maths fun and creative for me. And he turned me from an average C student with mathematical anxiety to an A student just by making maths fun and creative. And this was the summer between primary school and secondary school, where in the summer I just didn't really know what to do, and I was asking my dad, what can I do on board? And he was like, "Oh, let's do some fun maths." And I thought, no, maths is not my idea of what I should be doing in the summer, because I'd just finished primary school and secondary school. Now, for the Americans, the equivalent of primary school for you guys would be elementary school. And so I was just finished that, going into middle school. So it was that summer in between. And so we did all this maths, creative, fun stuff at home. And then I got into secondary school, which is in America, your equivalent of middle school. And it was the end of the academic year of the first year. And it was prize giving day. And they called out the name of the person who won the maths prize out of over 350 students. And that was me. And I couldn't believe it because I thought it was a clerical error, because it was not one of the maths people at all.
I see.
No, not at all. I had mathematical anxiety just the summer before, for crying out loud. And even now, I didn't know that my life had changed. Because they kind of did prize giving day before you actually get your results. So I didn't know that my lot had changed. And so that gave me a lot of confidence, and it made me realize one thing, that there's no such thing as a maths person, and that maths is only really a skill, and any skill just needs deliberate practice with the right guidance. And so fast forward many years from then, I went on to do more. I was being invited to competitions, to represent the school in competitions. I went on to do additional maths, which is what I think you guys call it, advanced maths, and I won the prize as well for that in middle school and high school. And then I went on to university, which is college, which you guys call college. And I studied computing because I was looking for something that was very, very maths-ish because of my new functions. So, and at university, there was an interview that was going on, and they were interviewing for people who could go into schools and help children who were struggling with maths build their maths confidence, but through games and through creative ways. So I applied to go. It was actually volunteer work, and we were going into schools once a week doing this, and we'd just go to schools and play games with the kids. And within 6 weeks, the teachers were giving us feedback to say that their confidence had turned around, and they were, much more confident than they were before. They could put their hands up more in class now. They were no longer sitting there hiding and thinking, "Oh gosh, yeah, we don't want to be caught out," I'm dumb and that kind of stuff. They were a lot more confident. So I thought, wow, their life is changing the way that my life changed. And at the end of the academic year, all of them had raised their maths levels by one level, bar none.
Okay.
So I realized that, wow, they went through what I went through. And that's kind of why from then on that I made it my mission to turn mathematics into a game that every child would love to play every time and help them eliminate mathematical anxiety.
I see. Okay. And I want to kind of talk a little bit more about the game that you have. I think you have like an actual sample with you as well. If you could share with our audience and also talk about how what is the rule of the games and how does the student can engage using the game and really learn about math concept.
Okay, I'll just grab it just on this table. So it's called Race to Infinity. And the goal of the game is to be the first player to go from 0 to infinity. So it's like a wheel on the board there that you could see. It's like a wheel. This is one of the older sort of boxes that we have. But anyway, you'll recognize it because it's the same logo and everything else. Sometimes you might see one with a white box, but it's the same thing. And so children are going and they're racing to infinity, just like the name says. And what they're doing is they have to roll the dice and then strategically decide where to move on basis of them manipulating the dice values. So they can add numbers, they can divide, they can multiply. And every time they roll the dice, before they move, they've got to consider where to move to. A bit like chess. This is not as, brain tasking chess, but they still have to look at their options before they move. So it's more like a strategic game. It's more a strategic game than a math game. But it does lend itself to basic maths, fluency, reasoning, and problem solving when children are developing those skills.
Okay. And what is inside the game? Like what kind of component is inside?
Okay, there's a board and 2 dice, 2 12-sided dice. And then there are what we call luck cards, which could be good stuff or it could be bad stuff on there, or it could be neutral stuff. So that's why we call them luck cards. And then we've got money tokens, which are like money, credits. They're non-denominational. So, and then on the board, there are places on there that they could get caught up and get trapped into for a while, and they can banish other people as well.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the components.
I see. And I know you have been actually engaging with a lot of schools through the games. Can you also kind of talk about how is the school using the game and try to implement and kind of incorporate as part of their educational curriculum?
Yeah. So that's a great question. So we're in over 3,000 schools in the UK and the US, and schools use it as a teaching aid. So there are, I think, 3 main ways that schools have been using it. One is as a starter before maths classes or at the end of maths classes. When they use it at the start of maths class, they'll use it for like 5-10 minutes just to sort of break up, just to break the ice, a little bit. So like an icebreaker, because a lot of people again, start having that mathematical anxiety feeling just before maths classes. So schools have found it like a good way to start a class, get everybody sort of excited and happy before they start the actual maths lesson. Some use it at the end, so as something to encourage the children to do their schoolwork on time, and when they finish, they can go there to the back or to the corner and play the game. So that's one way that you use it as a starter or as at the end of the game. At the end of the maths class. The second way they use it is in after school clubs. So a lot of schools have it in their after school club settings where children can just play it every time. And third way they use it is that they set up lunch clubs or maths clubs, especially for it during school hours.
Yeah.
And children just go and play the game and they ask each other questions, they collaborate, they learn more at the same time while they're playing.
I see. And I know you also have a digital version of the game. Can you also kind of talk about the digital version a little bit? And why do you decided to create a digital version of it?
Yeah. A great question. So after COVID, we very quickly realized that, or should I say during COVID, we very quickly realized that we needed to go digital. And even though that was always the plan, at the end of the day, I'm a tech lady anyway, studied computing, but there was no immediate hurry to sort of digitize before COVID. Well, during COVID, we had a lot of issues with logistics. Shipping was
Yeah.
5 times the normal cost. Manufacturers were closed, and even though there was huge demand in the UK and the US for the games, it was such a challenge to actually deliver those games and even get our manufactured the new ones in. To get our stuff in was a big challenge as well.
Yeah.
So we decided to digitize. Now, the second benefit, obviously, of digitizing is that we found that we could scale faster, wider, and we could get broader, faster, wider impact just by by digitizing. And we also realized that we could then collect that data and process that data, and actually use that to detect weaknesses in children and help them improve through measured progress.
Okay. So for our audience that's interested to check it out, they can also find it in the App Store just by searching for Race to Infinity.
That's correct, yeah. Not yet. We haven't actually launched it physically yet, so
Oh,
we
not
have it
yet.
as a web app at the moment.
I
Yes,
see.
yes, but it's on our website for people who want to play it.
I see. Okay. So it's on the website, but not in the App Store yet. Okay. Got it.
We haven't launched yet. We haven't publicly launched yet, but schools are trialing it out.
I see. I see. I see. What are some of the feedback you are getting from the users so far with the digital version?
Yeah, they're absolutely loving the digital version, and it's great to see that, especially when we first started to test it out last year, where we were nowhere near where we are right now, and kids were
Mm.
just loving the whole idea of being able to access something even easier without actually needing a physical game, because they could then play with AI, and that was some of the best parts of it. Then they would be able to see reports on how they've done,
Mhm.
just by playing a game. So it's like the game is assessing them.
I see. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. And for the physical version, I guess, is the rule and the digital version pretty much identical? Is there any, like, what is the major differences between the physical version and the digital version?
Um, they're very similar. There are some
Mm.
things that are redundant on the board when you go digital, because, for example, when you have to pick up a card or you have to pick up credit notes, now the digital will
Mhm.
automatically give that to you as a player. So then
Yeah.
you're not really having to actually do anything with those boxes on the board where those
Mhm.
would ordinarily have been. So just those slight differences are there. But other than that, the actual rules of the game were actually the same.
Okay, okay. The interface is mainly different. So, and since you launched the product for a few years now, what are some of the marketing strategy you have been really you have tried and you have implemented for the company that you find it to be uh, working for the company?
Yeah, great question. So what we found actually with marketing strategies for physical games totally different from marketing strategies for digital games. There are a lot of things to
Yeah.
consider when you go digital.
Mhm.
Just a lot of things in terms of just operational stuff. Just them being able to have access
Mhm.
and play the game normally without any without any sort of hiccups and stuff. So I found that marketing strategies for digital, particularly um, email marketing in actually contacting
Mhm.
schools, good old fashioned email, we found a really good one. Where we'll be doing adverts later in the future, but we haven't started those yet. We're still just using email marketing and using sort of our warm market, which are like people we know that know other people, but we're doing that through
Mhm.
email so that we can get
Mhm.
referrals on where we trial products in, because it's helping us to refine it and get it even better.
I see. And for the physical product, it's not only just available in UK, but it's also available in US, correct?
That's correct. We're still finishing on Amazon. That's correct.
Do you see a different kind of feedback for US based customer versus UK when it comes to using your games and maybe like getting feedback from different user?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we found that Americans are a little bit more open-minded than our people. Americans are more
How so?
open-minded than British.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what we found. That over here we're a little bit more cautious and a bit more we're a bit more critical, which is a good thing
Mm.
for those of us who have products, because we want to know, right?
Yeah.
And I would
Yeah.
say that Americans are a little bit more less critical
Mhm.
and a bit more excited than we are, usually, generally, about things, but also about the game. That's kind of the main
Mhm.
differences that I found. So yeah, reviews would be slightly better in America than the UK.
I see. I see. I see. So that's a very interesting observation that you also notice as well. And are you doing any like special type of marketing for the US audience as well? Are you doing digital ads for US that's different than UK?
Not yet, but we do plan to do that, and it would be slightly different because there are things like spelling wise, there is a difference between American spelling and British spelling, and you know, it looks like Americans don't like it when they see British spelling and vice versa. So there's a bit of a challenge there to sort that out when we go back to doing ads. We have actually done ads before for the physical games, which worked really well. But in America, for the digital as well, they're going to be slightly different just because of the spelling and grammar. Because
Mm.
we're talking about maths at the end of the day. So even just maths in itself, in America, is spelled METH. In the UK, it's spelled METHS.
Mhm.
So, but I'm not going to get into who's right or who's wrong. No problems. I'll take both.
There's just some minor nuances on the how
Yeah,
people
because we've had this for so long. Like who's right and who's wrong.
mm,
Yeah.
I see, I see, I see. And what is your like current, I guess, goal for 2025 and beyond for the brand? What are some of the additional projects you're currently working on, and what is your vision for the companies?
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking to, in particular, one of the main goals we have is to increase our data analytics. Improve it and make it even stronger. So that's one. And secondly, our UI UX, we plan to redesign it. At the moment, we just have a basic one that it's better than the physical games, because obviously it can't be the
Mhm.
same as the physical game. But it's currently a digital board game, which we haven't launched to apps yet. So we plan to launch it out to iOS and Android once we're launching
Okay.
later this year. But in particular, we're looking at improving the data analytics and our UI UX.
I see, I see, I see. What is the timeline your team is currently looking at for launching those?
September,
September. Okay,
September this year.
that's I see. I see. Oh, so there's still a few months to go. Uh, I
Yeah,
see.
not
I
long,
see.
not long at all.
Yeah. And what are some of the biggest challenge that you face when you're turning like the board game into a digital experiences?
Yeah, it was so tricky. I mean, there are things that we didn't expect to have problems with that came up just by turning it around. Especially like the UI UX. When you have a board game, you've got like space for them to throw things around and do things and move things around and all that. But a
Mhm.
digital game, it's not quite the same. And when you think about it on a phone, then you can't really have an open board,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
without trying to make sure that you make provisions for people to be able to zoom in and see parts of the board if they want to see
Mm.
closer. Especially if the board is 60 spaces or more. That's kind of tiny on a phone. So it's that tricky part of trying to make sure that it goes. That you look at how at the display in particular. The display. I think that's where the challenges come in. How to sort of present it to make sure that it's not too tiny, and people can see it and not feel like what can't see things properly or can't read things properly, and that's where the tricky part is. So it's all about being able to zoom in the camera and zoom out the camera and doing some of those things automatically as well.
I see. I think one of the game that has been very, very successful turning their board game into digital experiences is Monopoly Go. And they
Absolutely.
have a lot of business case study on like how successful it was, because the original
That's
board game is
correct.
already very successful with the Monopoly, but the digital
Yeah.
version, actually they got a lot of traction with the digital version as well. So I think for the board game industry, this is something that we can also learn from some of the successful case study on like what
Absolutely.
they did for the digital version that become so successful and become one
So
of the
successful,
major like
yeah.
revenue, yeah, driver as well. So and I
Hmm.
think it's also depending because the user experience, like you mentioned, for the digital version is very, very different than the physical version. Like
Correct,
some of
yeah.
the nuances you mentioned, the way they are interacting with the game, it's also very different. So
Hmm.
for your particular version, how are you planning to monetize the digital version? Is it just a one-time fee, or are you going to have like in-app purchases that the user can make like micro transactions?
It's actually a freemium app, so it's going to be free to use, and we're going to charge for data analytics. So when it produces reports and analyzes what data has been collected for a person who's playing, that's where the charges come in. So we'll charge for the reports and the data analytics.
Oh, okay. That's a very different approach. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah. So I see. And that might be, I mean, that's something you don't really know until you launch, and maybe that's something you need to kind of fix as the product going
That's
live
correct.
and see what kind of user experience it is, and like how do they interact it with the digital version as well. And are you also taking some of the feedback from the physical version and try to implement that into the digital version as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. We're trying to get the best of the physical because it was so successful. It was also proven through academic research to be linked to helping children increase their uh, fluency reasoning and problem solving skills. So we're taking
Mhm.
the best of the physical game and all of the things we learned from the academic research, and all of the feedback we've had from people everywhere. We've had over 1,000 positive reviews on Amazon across 12 different marketplaces, and more reviews from others, and crash settles and huge companies who've endorsed it. So we're taking the best of that, putting that in the digital, but also then learning from other digital games that have been successful so that we can improve it further.
I see. Okay. Thank you for sharing that as well. So it sounds like your current focus is still going to be on the digital version, and it's on the physical version. It's already getting quite a bit of traction, but you're not like heavily invest into the physical version because of the like the bandwidth of the team. Is you are that kind of really try
we're,
to
we're,
make sure you
we're
finalize
pivoting.
the app.
Right, we're transitioning, but it's still around. It's just that where our focus is more on the digital because we can scale that faster and achieve and,
I
and
see.
achieve our mission quicker. Yeah.
I see, I see, I see. And the other question I have is really like with the latest tariff development with the, in the U.S. side, is that impacting your U.S. business as well because of the changes in the tariff?
Tariffs. Well, we hope not, because with digital, but there hasn't been anything clearly, or at least I haven't heard uh, any clear, impacts on our digital. Having said that, because we haven't launched publicly yet, we're kind of safe. We can allow people to test and try out things for free. So we're not too worried at this point, but we're watching what's happening and what they're going to say about, digital games and maybe educational games.
Yeah. How about the physical game? Because I think you are currently also selling the physical copy in U.S. right now, correct?
In the US right now, yes, we are. So, because we're transitioning again, even with the physical, we're not too worried because our focus is more on the digital. So, the physical with the tariffs, there would be a bit of an impact, but we don't envisage a massive impact. And if a massive impact comes, then we're going to accelerate the digital faster.
I see. I see. Got it. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, as well, kind of toward the end of today's interview, what would you say to someone that's getting started within the toys and game industry? What are some of the advice you can give them when they are just trying to create their first tabletop board game or their first product?
Yeah. Yeah. I have to say it's quite funny that I'm here because I remember in 2015 when I was still trying to think about how to launch mine, and I had my prototype, and I was kind of a ready prototype at this stage, and I was
Hmm.
really doing lots of testing, and then trying to see, how to get here. And I was on all of it, a lot of communities for games for gamers, and board gamers particularly. And I remember that there was a question then from somebody who said, when would you consider your board game successful? And I remember
Mm.
that someone had said that when you've sold 20,000 games, and I thought, wow, that is such a big, big, big number. Like, it's even a crazy number. I wonder if I could ever get
Mhm.
there. But, and even though I wasn't sure, they always say, feel the fear and do it anyway. And that's what I would say, because I felt the fear and did it anyway. And then somehow we're here now, 4 years down the line after our first launch day. 4 years down the line, we were already, we've done some pretty good numbers already. So I'll say, feel the fear and do it anyway.
Okay, that's a really good piece of advice. And for our audience that want to find a little bit more about you and your company, where is the best place for people to find you online?
Yep. Okay. So physical game, we're at easymathskills.com. So MATH spelled in the American with the American spelling. So easymathskills.com. And for the
Mm.
digital, it's bgenio.com, www.bgenio.com.
Okay, got it. We'll make sure we put that into the show note. And thank you again so
And
much
I'm on
for your
LinkedIn as
time.
well. So
Of course. And yeah, thank you again for being on our show and sharing your experiences within the industry and how you have built up the business so far. And I really wish you for the ongoing success with your brand and also with the digital app. So please also let us know once the digital version is live in the App Store. We can also share some of those information with our audience that would be interested. So.
thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and for our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Toy Business Unboxed podcast. We hope you have enjoyed today's conversation and find it insightful and inspiring. If you like what you have heard, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. We really appreciate your support and would love it if you can leave us a review and share the podcast with your friend and colleague. For more resource tips and the latest update within the toy industry, please visit our website at toy-launch.com. Join the conversation and connect with us on social media using hashtag Toy Business Unboxed. We'd love to hear your feedback and suggestion for future episode. Until next time, keep innovating, keep creating, keep bringing joys to toys. This is Jason Shea signing off on the Toy Business Unboxed podcast. We'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much, everyone.